Today I'll be comparing the 14.75 inch wheelbase to the 15.375 inch wheelbase on this board and going over the differences of a shorter versus a longer wheelbase so you can see why wheelbase matters so much. So this is the 10-inch Craig's Rotten Egg deck that I have set up as my slappy board, and this board has a double drilled nose so you can choose between the 14.75 inch wheelbase or extend it up to the 15.375 inch wheelbase. This is a pig egg shape, meaning that it has a much shorter nose than the rest of the eggs. So I went with the 14.75 inch wheelbase just to give me the longest nose possible on this board. Plus I like my wheelbase to be around 14.5 to 15 inches, so this sits perfectly in the middle of that. When I dropped the video of this board and going over why I set up the components exactly how it is for a slappy setup, a lot of you guys said I should make a separate video skating and comparing both of these wheelbases on this board and talking about the differences that I find. So that's what we're going to get into right now. So I'm going to have a session here on this board exactly how it's set up with the 14.75 inch wheelbase. Then I'll extend it, move the truck up to that 15.375 inch wheelbase, which is 0.625 inch longer, and try and do the exact same trick so I can feel the difference of the two different wheelbases in real time. Then I'll go over the major differences between a shorter versus a longer wheelbase so you can see exactly why wheelbase is so important and to help you figure out which wheelbase will suit you and your style of skating the most. There's heaps of this like sticky bat piss, I think it is, that was on my wheels, making that weird sound. I just scrubbed it off, but it was like really ingrained in there. Look at that. Yucky. Oh. That's very different. Better. Whoa. Catching it way too early. There we go. I'll try some tricks off the nose now. Oh, so rocket. Oh my God. Yeah, it's not working on this nose, so I'm not going to bother doing flip tricks with the 14.75 inch nose because when I go 15.375, it'll be even harder. I will try a 3-shove though because that's a really whippy trick as well. Whoa! Whoa, almost. One more. That'll do. I have to do it again on the 15.375 inch wheelbase anyway. That is such a short nose. Oh my God. This is going to be deadly when I extend the wheelbase. Oh yeah, that can happen. That was actually so scary. So I did a variety of different tricks on the transition, the ledges, the slappy curb, did some manuals, skated the rail, and did some flip tricks as well. Now it's time to move my truck up that 0.625 inch to skate the 15.375 inch wheelbase and do exactly the same tricks I just did, so I can make the comparison and see the difference of the two different wheelbases in real time. I'll have the video I did on this slappy board linked at the end of this video, so you can see exactly why I set it up how it is and why I believe it's the best slappy setup ever. But let's get into skating the 15.375 inch wheelbase, then I can go over all of the differences between a shorter versus a longer wheelbase. I've noticed the difference straight away. The board feels heavier, and it's not heavier. I've only moved my truck up, but this is perfect when I start talking about levers later when I describe the difference between shorter and longer wheelbases. But I have already noticed the difference, so it's going to be a good comparison to make when I finish doing all of these tricks with the longer wheelbase. Yeah, it definitely feels heavier. This is trippy. That was a lot easier to get into. Whoa, that one felt good. Not quite. Holy. One of the best hill flips I've ever done. Whoa, okay. That feels good. Ah, one more though. Whoop. That's the one. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, that's so scary. It's like negative nose. Jeez. Oh, there's enough for my foot there, I guess. Oh. This board is not designed for nose slides. Oh. I'll take that one. That was alright, if I pinch it right. Thought that'd feel weird, but that felt good. Yeah, it feels good in here. This is so fun. Now for the scary part. Switch blunt feels terrifying with such a tiny nose. There's really not that much room, but I have to do it. Actually, I'll do blunt fakie first. Get my confidence up before the switch blunt. Alright. Can try and back it up and get a first try without being scared. Oh, it worked. Felt like my whole entire foot was up there. instead of the nose actually being locked in. But I'll take it. So the main differences between a short wheelbase versus a long wheelbase is shorter wheelbase is going to give you a sharper turn. Because the wheels are closer together, they're going to be able to turn sharper, so you get wider turning circles. And for me, I feel like that helps me pinch my grinds even sharper as well, because the truck can turn sharper, it helps pinch sharper. With a longer wheelbase, because the wheels are further apart, that's going to give you more wider turns. So you won't be able to carve and turn as sharply. A shorter wheelbase is also going to make the front of your board feel lighter. Since it's a shorter lever, as you're popping, it's going to feel lighter, so you're going to be able to get up off the ground easier. Now, a board with a longer wheelbase, your front truck is further away from the back truck, so as you're popping, the lever is longer, so it makes the front of your board feel heavier as it's popping. And I experienced that straight away as soon as I shifted my truck up to the 15.375 inch wheelbase. The board didn't add any extra weight at all, but when I was popping and ollieing, it felt like it was a lot heavier. The third main differences from a short to a long wheelbase is going to be how comfortable you're able to stand on the board. Obviously, boards that have a shorter length and a shorter wheelbase, your feet are going to have to stand closer together on the board. Longer wheelbase boards come with a longer width as well, which means you're able to stand with your feet further apart. So a shorter wheelbase is going to benefit technical skating the most. Since the front of your board is going to feel lighter, you're going to be able to pop easier, and your board will whip and rotate easier as well because the wheelbase is closer together. As well as people that are shorter. Obviously, having a wheelbase that's shorter, it's going to allow you to stand closer together. Having a short person on a wheelbase that's much longer is going to feel awkward with them having to spread their legs too far apart. Now, boards with a longer wheelbase are going to benefit people like me that are tall. Since I can stand more comfortably with my feet further apart, I don't feel like my feet are too close together and my knees are knocking. The wider wheelbase is going to help skate big rails and gaps too, since you're able to land with a lot of impact with your feet spread apart properly. So taking impact, it feels a lot better on a wider wheelbase. Now, transition skaters like a shorter wheelbase since they're able to turn sharply and carve more, but I do know a lot of transition skaters that like a wider wheelbase too. This will allow them to stand with their feet wider apart, like I said, but a wider wheelbase creates more stability as well. So people that don't like to carve and turn so sharply, they prefer a longer wheelbase so their board is more stable. They can get wider turns and pump around more comfortably and stand further apart. So what I found riding this board with the extended wheelbase, when I was skating the bowl at the end, it felt so much more comfortable with the longer wheelbase. I was able to keep my feet further apart and stand really comfortably, and it felt so much more comfortable in the bowl. I'm not a big transition skater, but it kind of felt like I knew what I was doing in there. The other main things I noticed, like I already said, was when I moved my truck up and extended the wheelbase, the front of my board felt heavier instantly. My board felt heavier, it felt like I had to pop even harder to get it up off the ground. Even though there was no weight added to this board, the further you push out the truck, the further the lever extends to. So just imagine how easy it is to hold your board in your hand like this, but as you extend your arm out, that board becomes a lot heavier as your arm becomes a lot longer. So extending your lever is going to create more weight towards your setup. And I felt that straight away. Obviously, I struggled doing nose slides and the switch blunt at the end because there's basically no nose here. That has nothing to do with the wheelbase, but obviously it shortened my nose, so those tricks became harder on this board. But the flip tricks surprisingly felt a lot better with the longer wheelbase. The kick flip, the heel flip, the tray flip, they all felt so much better with the 15.375 inch wheelbase. Keep in mind this is an egg board, so the whip is easier on an egg board because of the tapered kicks, so the tray flips and the 3 shoves whip easier. And I was also way more warmed up by the time I skated the extended wheelbase, so maybe the flip tricks felt better because I was more warmed up. They're just a few things to consider when I was making that comparison. But I actually preferred the way this board felt with the extended wheelbase, so I'm actually going to keep it this way. I did only set this up as a slappy board anyway, but it felt so comfortable in the transition that I would prefer to have my feet wider apart anyway for those transition tricks and for slappies as well. I can deal with not being able to pop off the nose or skate this switch and do nose slides and all those kind of things that I won't be able to do with this short nose because it's not meant for that anyway. This was already going to be my slappy designated setup, but I think I'm going to try and learn some transition skating on this too because it felt really good. So they are the main differences between a shorter wheelbase versus a longer wheelbase. Hopefully all this information makes sense and will help you choose which wheelbase is going to benefit you and your skating the most, whether it's short or long. But I had a fun session skating this board again, and I'm keen to keep it at the 15.375 inch wheelbase and continue to get better at transition skating and slappy grinds. So to get a breakdown of this board and why I chose every component to it and why I made this my own designated slappy board, check out the video right here.